And hello everyone. Today is a little bit different. I'm not going to do anything archaeological today, even though I have a lot of material that I have archived in my folder. But today I want to do something different. I want to try and do some current affairs type things. But I also have a surprise which will come later on, and that'll be a little bit more serious. It'll go on about an hour or so. I don't know. There's no time limit today. At least until midnight because I have to go to work tomorrow. But what shall I talk about today? Well, you guys know that I love DNA. I love science in general. And the news broke out today that Senator Warren released her DNA testings to try to prove that she is indeed an Indian or a Native American, First Nation people, whatever you want to call them. It's fine by whatever nomenclature you can do. But there is a problem with that I have. You see, while I was at university in between 1989 and 1992, and about 1990, some scientists, I can't remember their names, I'm terrible at names, but the Human Genome Project was started, and that project was to obtain as much DNA from all human beings living on Earth, from every corner of the Earth as viably possible, and obtain data to map the human genome. The project continued until about 96-ish, if I'm not mistaken. And we finally then later on got the human genome. This is just the DNA genome because they are now working on the protein bases now, part of that. I at university, I heard about it. I sent in for the kit, and I did my test swab. Whatever, there was a swab. You took it from your chin, in your mouth, the inside of your chin, in your what do you call them, cheeks. That's it. You swabbed it. You put it inside a sealed little, like it was just like a plastic test tube thing. They put it into another sealed little package type thing. It had already the part of the address there. You filled in your details, yes, your full details, on a separate page, and that page had a number which corresponded with the number on the DNA sample that you gave. So I sent that in, and a couple of months later, I got the results back. And I don't have the actual certificate because of accidents and time. I lost it. I've been searching for it everywhere. I do not know where it is, but I do remember this the broad categories that I fell into, and the percentage was starting from the most percentage wise Celtic. I had you get 100% of, obviously, close to 100%, but I had most Celtic ancestry, then Roman, and from where I was born and where I come from, that's not unheard of because I live in the Celtic part of the Iberian Peninsula, and of course the Iberian Peninsula is quickly conquered by the Romans about the turn of the millennium, the first millennium, sometimes before that. And then I have some much smaller percentage of Germanic DNA because a few Germanic tribes passed through my area. And in fact, two of them, the Visigoths and the Swabians, ruled the part where I live for at least 350, 400 years. after the Romans collapsed until around the 700-ish AD, Anno Domini, when the Moorish invasions occurred. But surprisingly enough, I do not have that much North African ancestry. Yeah, I have a 0.8, less than 1%, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it was 0.8 or 0.9, but less than 1% of other. And the Celtic, Roman, Germanic percentage gave me most of it, but there was a small 3.5% gap in the sequences of the math. And that I was surprised when I got those results, because I have there's two scales now that since I've done the test, there's been two scales. At that time, it was up to 4%, but now they've tried to refine it. There's between 2 and 4% of Neanderthal DNA. Either way, my percentage-wise is still in the not the highest, but close to the highest percentage of Neanderthal DNA. Now, the Neanderthals became extinct in Europe around 35-ish, 30 to 35-ish thousand years ago in the Iberian Peninsula. The latest or earliest or the closest to us samples come from Gibraltar in Gorham's Cave, and they are close to the 30-ish thousand years. In Northern Europe, or well, Central Western Europe, like France, Germany, Spain, etc., or Northern Spain, the other parts, they became extinct between 50 and 40,000 years ago. So that's a general number because we do not have the exact dates, but they're close enough. So Senator Elizabeth Warren has claimed that she has Cherokee DNA, and she has done a test, and that test gave a surprisingly, a very surprising number. And that number went from, it was less than 1%. And it's been on the news, and it's been on Twitter, it's been on social media. They're just mocking her. And here I'll just share this, something that I found really funny. This was from a correction from the New York Times. I forgot to take out who made that correction. I think it was a journalist. And this is the third correction. And due to the math error, the story about Elizabeth Warren misstating the ancestry percentage of a potential 6th to 10th generation relative, the generational range based on an ancestor that the report identifies suggests she is between 1/64th and 1/1024th Native American. I've seen on Twitter everyone mocking them because 1/1024th Native American is statistically less than any Caucasian American has, or any European descendant has that can have. Just mind-boggling. I have. I'll give the even the less range, which is up to 3%. I have 2.3% Neanderthal DNA in me. So I am more Neanderthal than she is Native American, and I don't look Neanderthal. Well, you know, the thing, I don't look Neanderthal at all. But no, of course not. She doesn't look Native American. But here's the kicker. There's this article. Well, again, it's a tweet from what I got from Twitter, and I'll share that as well. It's a statement from the Cherokee Nation, and it just embarrasses the hell of. Jesus, if the Neanderthal nation sent me this reply, I would say, okay, I agree. I'm not Neanderthal at all, but this is what they say. I'll try and increase this thing. There you go. It's a bit better. So the Cherokee Nation. The Cherokee Nation responds to Senator Warren's DNA test. Tahlequah, Oklahoma, the Cherokee Nation's Secretary of State, Chuck Hoskin Jr., issued a following statement Monday in response to Senator Warren's DNA test claiming native heritage. I quote, "A DNA test is useless to determine tribal citizenship." That is true. Current DNA tests do not even distinguish whether a person's ancestors were indigenous North or South America. Cherokee Nation Secretary of State Chuck Hoskin Jr. said, sovereign tribe nations set their own legal requirements for citizenships. While DNA tests can be used to determine lineage, such as paternity of an individual, it is not evidence for tribal affiliation. Using a DNA test to lay claim to any connection to a Cherokee nation or any tribe nation, even vaguely, is inappropriate and wrong. It makes a mockery of DNA tests and is legitimate use while other dishonoring legitimate tribal governments and their citizens. So they have been triggered. The Cherokee Nation has been triggered, whose ancestors are well documented and whose heritage is proven. Senator Warren is undermining tribal interests for her continued claims of tribal heritage. Oh my goodness gracious me. This was tweeted by Justin Wertinger. I don't follow him. I don't know who he is, so take it as he goes, you know. So, I've always said this. A friend of mine, Charming Man 93, has done both 93andMe and Ancestry.com DNA tests, and they give these nice, beautiful subcategories. And you are Hispanic, you are Spanish, you are Scandinavian, you are Germanic, you are Welsh, you are Anglo-Saxon, and those sort of things. I'm not disparaging his claim. These tests are designed for that, but these commercial tests are designed for that. The one I did was not a commercial test. They weren't trying to find out whether I was from this place or that. They basically wanted to see the human DNA. There's a difference between the commercial genetic DNA testing facilities, which give your quote unquote heritage, and the actual scientifically sound methods where they want to see what your DNA consists of. If she had sent it to the Max Planck Institute, which in my many videos I have made on DNA, Neanderthal, human, Denisovian, etc., I would be more convinced than, ultimately, absolutely more convinced than if they had, if she had just, that she did send it to one of those. And I suspect it's the one that Wojcinski's, the Google CEO sister, owns. So I suspect it's that one. I haven't seen any evidence that it was that one, that company that did that, quote unquote, did her DNA testing, but I am absolutely, I am convinced it's that one. So I'm generally very skeptical. I follow the scientific method, as I think you guys have noticed enough, or seen enough of my videos to do that, to ascertain that from me. So yes, I require a lot of evidence for assertions that are made. I do that to myself. So I apply the same standards I hold to myself to others. That is just me. I can, of course, divide. How do you say it? I can not to use that when I'm on Twitter, for example. I don't care because Twitter is not a serious discussion platform. I do that in my videos as a serious discussion platform, as I sort of am doing it now. So that is basically why I called out on Twitter today. I called it out on Twitter today. When I first saw it, I went to the big city to do some shopping and stuff, and I was seeing my Twitter, and I saw that, and I said, "Oh, it's in there. It's in my Twitter feed. So if anyone wants to see the proof, it's there." Oh, and I was going to go on to my next article, or not article, or talking point, but I think I will stop it now because this is a surprise I have. People, I would like you to give a warm welcome to Adam Wade. How are you, Adam? Adam and his apple.
Como está, minha amiga?
Estou bem, e tu?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, Carlos?
I am absolutely fine, man. Thank you. How have you been? I went to my videos and to see where the last time we talked. I think it's been over 2 years.
Yeah, the last time we talked on your channel was with Sargon.
Exactly. Yes, that's the one. And it's been too long. It's been too long. Yes.
That's been. Have we spoken since then?
Not direct, only on Twitter, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Twitter all the time.
Exactly, but yeah. And I've been seeing your videos. I'm glad you started producing them. Fucking loving them, man.
Gee, I'm gonna slow it down a bit. I think I put 7 out in the last week.
Yep. You did have. You are being lazy. Geez, man, you're really being lazy. So, I've been one thing that of your videos. I hope this is a good way to start this segment, because now I'm going a little bit serious. And
I bring out the seriousness in you, do I?
No. You are my brother, and I can be a complete clown if I want. But there's a serious side. And before we start, how have you been? How's you're working, of course, and how's the job?
Oh, good. I enjoy what I do.
Oh,
I've got this week off though. That's why I can crank stuff out and live stream and stuff. And yourself, how is the archaeology work?
Well, I've been gathering. I'm still working in the museum, and at my museum, but I'm also working at my other place of employment. It's all in the council. I work for the council, the local council.
As a lady of the night.
Basically, yes. Ooh. I have to produce some work for our evaluation crap shit, and I'm going to do a model of a Neolithic village, because in my area, I think I've talked about this before, we have one of the biggest concentrations of Neolithic tombs or Bronze Age tombs, megalithic tombs in the Iberian Peninsula, and one of the biggest ones So I'm going to.
You see, I'm a novice at this. The Neolithic era is what sort of dates?
It started about 12,000 years ago, and it ended in 1,800 years, 1,800 more or less before BC, when iron when metals were produced. Basically, the Copper Age. That's when the Neolithics ended, around 6,000 BC ish. Depends on the place.
Now, I have to ask, have they asked you to do that because you've got more Neanderthal DNA than any other human on the planet?
No, that was one of I picked that because it's my strength, and And I don't have the most Neanderthal DNA. I'm in the normal range for my area and the Iberian Peninsula, in fact. It ranges between 3-ish, 2.7 to 3.7. I have 3.5, so I'm not the top. So it's fine. I got more Neanderthal DNA than Elizabeth Warren, so has American Indian DNA. So yes, I'm proud of that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and it's gonna be fun. I have 1 month to do it because I have 2 months actually, but I want to have 1 month because I want to get the high points.
Do you have to do this stuff in Portuguese or English?
Oh, it's I'm gonna do the explanation bilingually, so English and Portuguese. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And Australian?
Oh, Australian. No, I'm not gonna do the Australian. Very few people can understand Australian. So I'm going to do my best British BBC English. So yes.
The Queen's English.
The Queen's English. God save the Queen. Yes.
Okay, so now we're up to speed on personal lives.
Yes. The Cambridge University Student Union. That
Yeah,
really,
shocking.
yes, pissed me off.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I haven't got wound up about something, that I've covered as much as that.
No, you haven't. No.
Oh, wow.
And you haven't seen me how I'm riled up because I grew up in Australia. You guys know that. I celebrate at 11 a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month, a minute's silence. I get the poppy, and I'm Portuguese.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I suppose it's Remembrance Day is for any sort of veterans and that, but Armistice Day being the First World War.
Yes.
But primarily when we think of Remembrance Day, it's the First and Second World Wars.
Yes, it is.
And
yeah, exactly.
Those obviously, I suppose it goes without saying that those affected the continent of Europe quite badly.
I have some statistics, and the actual Cambridge University leaders should be ashamed. They should be absolutely.
It's the student union that's doing this.
Yeah, but the university should say, "Oh, quieten down. Look up history." I have here from the Cambridge University Wikipedia link. I looked for it because I knew this from when I was living in Australia. Because every Australian university has the same type of list. The members, its students that died in World War One. There's a list. There are many lists. I couldn't get the actual lists because they're either books or under paywalls, and I'm not going to do that. So I went to just raw numbers. I'm going to share this. Everyone can see.
If you think about it with Cambridge, if they went back through their records, never mind just the First World War, they would have students who died in the Napoleonic Wars and prior to that. And
yes.
Because Cambridge is 500 odd years old, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
That's off the top of my head. So
no, it is. It's even older, but founded in
700 years old or 1300 something.
1284.
1284, yeah. So 700 years old.
If you can see my screen, if you can see the screen, I think you can see the screen. The First World War, 13,870 members of the university served. The University of Cambridge. 2,470 were killed.
So almost a third of them were killed.
A third of them were killed. And you have to remember, they were 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. And more, obviously. They were even, like you said, I think you said, that, no, you did say it in your video. Children as young as 15, 16 were lying about their age to get into, because they couldn't be conscripted. The ones that were older than 18, they were conscripted.
Yeah.
Portugal sent an expeditionary force, and they were basically cannon fodder. They were under the British leadership, as the Australians, as the New Zealanders were, as the South Africans, as the Rhodesians, as all the Commonwealth were, and that were the British military was a bit of a dick because they sent as cannon fodder the colonies and so on.
Yeah, that's all is fair in love and war. Yes, that's a dick move, through and through.
Yeah.
But playing devil's advocate, you can see why they did it. Britain has never had a massive ground force in their history.
No, I understand it. I understand. I'm saying that they were dicks about it, but I do understand it. Because it just shows the bravery of these young adults, and they were men. And go on.
And looking at the thing you've got highlighted on the screen, I'm guessing those were those former or just current Cambridge students that served?
They were all that could be conscripted.
Yeah, no. But I mean the specific numbers.
I don't know.
I don't know. Because if that was only current students at the time, the number of graduates also that were involved.
Let's have a look at here. Here we go. Oh, that's after 1945. It doesn't say. God damn it.
But the one thing given that I suppose we're getting old now, those student union kids are probably maybe pushing 20. But like I did say in my video, the one saving grace I could actually give them is that old principle of proximity.
Yes.
They probably just did GCSE O-level history and that's it. So it doesn't mean much.
I'm still not letting them off the hook though. They should know better. They should know better.
They should, and anyone who thinks it's not a big thing, that's one of the reasons why I mentioned read about it. And if you don't want to read, listen to especially Dan Carlin's thing, Blueprint to Armageddon. Yes. I mean, that's amazing how in-depth not in-depth, but as in-depth as he can do over what must have been 20 hours of audio on the First World War. Mm-hmm. Something I'm irritated that I did not add to that video. I suppose it's just, it's not too much of a bad thing that I didn't, because it's just, I suppose in a way it can be looked at as virtue signaling, but it's genuinely true. Every time I walk past a war memorial, I'll stand there for a bit and read some of the names. Mm-hmm. I'll deliberately stop, stand there, read some of the names, and just think of it. I mean, those are people that died giving me what I have today. And I haven't been doing that I've been doing that for maybe a year and a half, but every time I see one, I'll just stop and have a look at it and read names.
Oh, while I was living in Australia, I used to do that a lot when I became more aware of the significance, because of course there's a period in your growth and childhood which is we're just dickheads. But then when we become a little bit more serious, we start reading, we start saying, wait a minute. And there were a lot of, in Australia, there were a lot of return servicemen leagues in every town. For example, parish, council, whatever division you want to use, county. And there were 3 quite close to where my house was. There was the one in Northcote, there was one in Fairfield, and there was one in Thomastown. There were 3 in a radius of about 5 square kilometers.
Yeah.
And they were the best place you could go to eat if you wanted to, and a meal, Sunday roast, whatever. They were just awesome places. My dad
eat one little bit of camarão.
No, there were no Italians there. But they were just the most awesome people. My father, he worked in away from us in New South Wales for a time, and he in Goulburn. That's famous for its big ram, Australia, Goulburn.
Okay, yeah.
And he was working on some highway bridges, and that he had an accident there, but that's not important. He's all right. He'd eat a lot on Sundays at the RSL club, and he said, just bloody awesome. And he doesn't speak a lot. I don't know how he speak English. I don't know how he communicated, but he did, and they loved him. They wave at. He said, "Oh, they used to wave at me and everything, heartedly, and they were awesome people." And yeah, so they always had a plaque, the RSLs, of the fallen from that county, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you can imagine how numerous those memorials are in the UK.
Oh, of course.
I mean, it's walking home with my daughter from school. And remember, she's little, she's got short legs, so it takes us 20 minutes to walk, but we passed two.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
Just in a small little village we live in, we passed two. One was a memorial because it's now flats. It's now like 20 flats, but it used to be a cinema. And during the Second World War, a Messerschmitt was actually shot down and plowed into the cinema. I don't think many people were killed. I think maybe 2 people were killed. But a remote little village in Surrey, and that happened. So that's one of the plaques. And the other one is outside a little quaint church where it's, and you read through some of the names and you see the same surname repeat 3, 4, 5 times, and you think, geez, how many of those were brothers to each other?
Brothers, uncles, fathers.
Yes. That's, it's crazy. I did history for O-level and then stopped. I got an A for O-level history, but not because I was super keen on it in that day and age. But just I sort of found it's storytelling, basically. It's, to you, it never happened. It's like reading a story. It's like to make a comparison, it's sort of like reading Lord of the Rings or something. It's fantasy to you because you can't, I mean, at that age, you can't, when life's going well, when everything's peachy, you can't put yourself visually, mentally in that sort of situation and comprehend what was. But as I've grown older, I've got more and more sort of interested in that. And I thought, geez, I wish I took history as an A-level. Just to appreciate what people have sacrificed.
Oh, absolutely, yes. That's basically how I went through it. Yeah, I did history at high school until year 12, which is basically your what's the last ones before you go to university? A-levels.
A-levels, yeah.
A-levels. Then I did a little bit of Portuguese history at university because I had a couple of academic points that I need to spend on something that was not archaeology, and history was one of them. Portuguese history. So I learned more about Portuguese history than I did.
So Portuguese history from the 1800s, you learned about Mozambique.
Oh no! Well, yeah, I learned the Portuguese expansion
and Brazil.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, first into the Canary Islands. We were the first ones to actually invade the Canary Islands. We set up the model of what would later be the Brazilian colonial system in Canary Islands.
I did not know that.
Neither did I until I went to university, which was basically the feiturias, the factory, quote unquote, And the first colonies of Brazil were basically equal width strips of land from, I think it was Bahia, which is the north of Brazil, downwards to the south. And they would go westward. I don't know how, a long way up until, I think up until the Amazonic basin or something. So you'd have about 32 of those, and each one had a captain there, capitania, and he would rule that as basically a warlord. So yeah, he was the viceroy type of thing. Yeah.
With also your alliance still intact with England.
Absolutely. Yes, completely. That's one of the most proudest things I consider I have. But I'm also mourning the state of the UK. Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's crazy. I can't make videos enough to cover the amount of things I read about.
Australia's the same. It is exactly the same.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
And you know what? Large swathes of continental Europe will probably be the same, but it's just the language barrier that stops us from knowing about it.
Well, not really. The Eastern Europeans have had a communist dictatorship.
Oh no, for sure. No, I primarily mean the Western Europe. I primarily mean
Germany is guilty as fuck. Sweden has Stockholm syndrome. Norway is a bit more pragmatic, and Denmark the same. Finland are learning that no, we can't do what those other idiots to the right of us are doing, to the left of right of us are doing, to the west of us are doing. Mainly Sweden.
Everyone in Europe is to the west of you, east of you. Sorry.
Exactly. Then France and Germany, of course. France is just surrenders and Germany is in a conundrum because they're guilty as fuck from World War II. So, and Belgium doesn't exist. That's a fucking fake country. Because
take it easy there, son. Take it easy there.
No, they have the Flemish part, which is basically is saying, "Get the fuck these francophone surrender monkeys out of my face."
I don't know if I've told you, but my mother's Flemish.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay, you haven't, but they are the same ones. Not the francophone.
Oh no, Belgium is weird. The bureaucracy of Belgium is crazy. Brussels is a Walloon sort of city, basically a French speaking town, but it's in Flanders.
Yes, but
and then it's got different municipalities inside Brussels.
Mm.
Some you'll pay your council tax to. Let's just put it in layman's terms, to the Dutch part, but you'll pay your school fees to the French part, and you'll pay your waste refuse to the German part. It's
brutal, man. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a fake country. I think the Flemish part should join the Netherlands, and the French part with Luxembourg. Well, Luxembourg they want to go German, because Luxembourgers are weird as well. So I think the southern French francophone Belgium should just come France, because they just surrender. They're surrendering to the EU and that crap. Yeah.
Hold on. But Belgium's got football going for it at the moment.
Some good players, yeah.
No, they could have won that World Cup.
Yeah, they could have, but they lost to France, didn't they?
Yeah.
They surrendered to France. You see what I mean?
They surrendered to the African nation that won it.
Exactly. Just like the European nation that won the 1998 Rugby World Cup in Johannesburg.
The Dutch.
Exactly. Dutch, German, Portuguese, and French. But the Afrikaans have all those mixes, mate.
Oh yeah, no. In Johannesburg, there's a big Portuguese contingent.
Yes, that's where Nando's came from.
Yeah, Rosettenville.
Mm.
There, there used to be a massive Portuguese festival annually in Joburg. Dodgy as fuck, but it was good fun.
I saw that video that you liked from Conscious Caracol, where he was talking that expat South African Portuguese um, psychologist,
Yes, yes.
psychologist. Oh man, of course that's. Oh man, the Portuguese, those they first had to flee Angola because Mozambique was not as crazy as Angola. And now they have to flee again because of the EFF, FFE or EFF, those
EFF.
EFF, yeah.
Economic Freedom Fighters.
Yeah. And they're going to fight the Zulus.
Oh, yes, yes.
They're not going to win.
I know amazing things are happening there. I mean, that is that's a Game of Thrones plot going on there with what happened with the Zulus.
Yeah,
Now, also all those people that say that the farm murders in South Africa, and that's, yeah, I suppose I'll put it in a video, is wolf whistling and alt-right and all of that. Now they can't say that anymore.
No.
The fact that the Zulu kingdom has come out from the horse's mouth, from their king, Goodwill Zwelithini, has said, not I just like what AfriForum's doing, I am going to work together with them, which is good.
That is not good. That is brilliant. That is absolutely a slither of hope.
Yeah, that is. But I'm still, I mean, I speak to a lot of those guys, not as often as I should, because I don't know how Discord works properly. And I don't spend as much time on the internet as it might seem.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I do because I work at a fucking lazy ass job. So I have massive amount of time to just cruise the internet while I wait for visitors. Yeah, so I'm a useless cunt, basically.
But a lot of them tell me that basically EFF is an experimental arm of the ANC. And these are a lot of guys who have their finger on the pulse in South Africa still there, but I still argue with them and I say no. The EFF is the tail that is wagging the dog.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They've gained popularity among the populace rapidly. I mean, bearing in mind that party is only about 5 years old and it's the third largest in South Africa now.
But so, they're going to. I don't see now that the Zulus are aligning themselves with sanity. The ANC will have to do something there. Either they just splinter and faction fights and possible the way things are possible, even conflict.
To be honest, I think the ANC's as shit as they are, I think the ANC splintering now will be a very bad thing for South Africa.
Oh, it will, exactly. That's why.
Because that would hand over everything to the EFF, basically. And then that's
what I mean. They could have, it could be conflict there. And I read some articles that they have confiscated weapons or guns from 300,000 Afrikaans farmers, and basically putting them. That's one tactic.
Large portions of the farmer population, and the farmer population in South Africa is primarily Afrikaans.
Exactly.
Almost exclusively. There's very few, agricultural farmers. There might be. There's very few English agricultural farmers. There might be a lot of English people with game farms and stuff like that, but agriculture-wise, it is
Afrikaans. Yes.
Yeah, and a good friend of mine from university, his uncle, he's actually his father's Afrikaans, his mother's Scottish, but he said, no, I'm English. I'm English. He would speak to his father in English, although his father would speak to him in Afrikaans. But he had an uncle on his father's side that had weapons caches, preparing for real shit to go down.
Oh,
They had little militia groups with massive weapons caches. I mean, this is his uncle till he died, which must have been about less than a decade ago now. Actually, maybe a decade ago now. He still every morning would raise the old flag, the Oranje Blanje Blue, and sing the old anthem on his farm. So a lot of Afrikaans are very, very proud people.
I don't see why.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah. The farmers on the ground, humans are horrible. It's a horrible species. We are basically evil, humans. There's no going around it. There are degrees of evilness, obviously, and I don't know how to put it.
But if you think about it, it's the same in the animal kingdom.
It is, yeah, exactly.
It's about dominance, and we've just perfected that art. That we can not just dominate our tribe of 20. We can dominate millions, and the natural world with it. Whereas a pride of lions, yes, you will get hierarchy there, but they're not going to dominate more than the territory they need. They're not expansionist, I suppose humans are.
John said yes. No, John, I'm not a pessimist. I'm a fatalist. There's a big difference. And yes, we are capable of great things, but we are also capable of great bad things. That is also something to take in account. We are humans. We are humans. We can't go around. We are humans. If you try to take out the human nature of humans, you don't have humans.
Take it easy. Take it easy there, son. I'm trans-Neanderthal.
Oh, I am, exactly. But they were human as well, so, that's correct. They were just our cousin. Well, they were the other race of humans.
Okay, I'm trans-bonobo then.
No, you're not. Oh, but the bonobos have an advantage. They settle conflicts with sex. So I would love if. Why didn't we sort of? We did not evolve from chimpanzee. We evolved from a common ancestor. But why couldn't we our behavior be more like bonobos instead of like chimpanzees, the common chimpanzees? It would be awesome. Instead of fighting wars with throwing sticks and that, we just hump others.
But then we would have fucked ourselves out of existence by now.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. There's always a bad side to something. So there's too much of a good thing is bad.
Fair enough. But yeah, the whole. I know this is. I try to be optimistic about everything. I don't let many things worry me, but I think about the whole South Africa situation a lot more recently, obviously, because it's got a lot more fragile recently. But unless something happens, because they've got elections next year, and if the EFF, with all their rhetoric, if they gain more ground, then the international community has to step in with sanctions or something like that, because I see South Africa as fast-tracking its way to civil war at the moment. And if it becomes civil war, it won't be civil war, really. It will be genocide, because it will be along the lines of black and white. Because that is the bear that's getting poked in South Africa now with Julius Malema and the EFF. It's along ethnic lines.
I think it'll be more most people against the Bantu, because they are the EFF and most of the ANC are Bantu, not the other three tribes, three different ethnic groups. The Zulus are not with them. They were always separate there with the Inkatha Freedom Party.
Oh yeah, no, but Zulus are still Bantu.
Yes, but I hope you see what I mean. That,
yeah, that's
like the San. There are about 15 tribes of San.
yeah, but they tiny.
Exactly. No, obviously. But do you see the distinction I'm trying to?
Yes. No, I do.
Yeah.
But you realize, obviously, the king's subjects will not all follow him.
But majority will, because I know the king still has a lot of influence. The Zulus are still very mostly homogenous. They've always been. That's one thing I admire about them.
Oh yes, very monarchical.
Yeah, they respect their culture, their customs, their traditions, everything which is as a people should be. This also sort of it doesn't explode the minds of the new term for the NPCs, which is quite more accurate.
The greatest meme ever. I put that on record.
It is. That is the perfect description for them. They try to lump, or what's that word? Granted, it's not generalized. They try to homogenize a group, blacks. Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
They don't know jack shit.
No, they don't. Or I love to say, okay, is it Angolan blacks, Bantu, or Somalian blacks, or even Indian blacks or Australian blacks? Which one are you talking about, blacks?
Because I guarantee you right now, I am more culturally Zulu than Jay-Z. Yet he's black and I'm white. I thought about this. It must have been 2 years ago. I thought I would love to be able to take Gazi Kodzo, take him to a township in South Africa.
Soweto would be a nice place to start. Or what's that one?
No, I'll take him to Kagiso.
Don't know that place.
No, it's much smaller. But I mean, I've gone to a Zulu wedding in Kagiso. I've gone to two actually in Kagiso. And Zulu weddings are long things. They last like 3 days to a week. Nice. It's not just one day. And I've gone to Kagiso also just to have a good time. And although, invited, not just randomly there, by guys who delivery drivers that my parents employed in their business. And me and my brother would go there, and the moment it's totally different culturally. The moment you drive into the township, it's an unwritten rule, but you're sort of supposed to take your seatbelt off. The reason being because if you're wearing a seatbelt, you're anticipating that you're going to have an accident, that you're driving too fast. You should be driving respectfully and at a speed where you wouldn't need to wear a seatbelt. Just small things like that.
Wow.
And obviously having a lot more money than the people we were with. When we were there, they said, no, you're not paying for a thing. They just flat out refused.
Yes. That's something that these I don't have a word strong enough to describe these middle class brats that infecting us. They're a minority. I think you've seen that study from Hawkins, John Hawkins, I think it was. It's Al, which is going around. Many people have done a video on that. Tim Pool did one, and a few others. They're not vocal minority; they're screeching minority.
Yes.
And if they witness that, I can guarantee you they would be. If they went to where you went naturally, I expect. I wouldn't. If I was living, for example, I'll give you an example. If I go to a village, and I'm talking about village, to a village just about one of the villages where I live, I know the cultural, what I have to do. For example, you'd be the same, and this is, but the villages each have, even in my small area, they have distinct patterns.
Yes,
even though
yes.
I have family in most of these villages, and there's about we have 78 villages in my parish, and I have about family in about 2/3 of them, but they are so different. It is incredible how different they are. We know distinctively where they come from. So yeah, if these brats accompanied you, they would embarrass you the fuck out of you, because they would be completely blown away by. They would probably be red pilled most likely, and would be a good thing. But yeah.
Because they know no better, they think this group based on this characteristic is a homogenous group. End of story.
Exactly, yeah. And it's horrific. It's horrible. To me, it's pure racism, and I don't like the term racism, because I don't believe that in the term that racism is used. To me, racism is Neanderthals, Sapiens, and Denisovans. They are the three races that existed.
It's ethnicism.
Ethnicity, or if you want to call it peoples. If you want to call them a name, call them peoples. That's a good term.
Peoples.
The Northern Portuguese people, the Castilian people, the Germanic people, the Cherokee people. It works perfectly.
But you meet a speed hump when you say the furries people.
Ooh, they're not people. Ooh, God.
But like you mentioned briefly earlier, NPCs. And I stuck my neck out and said that's a better meme than Pepe.
Oh, it is absolutely.
It is the best meme I think there's ever been.
Because no one got banned from Twitter for using Pepe in their avatars, but they cleaned out a lot of people who used the NPC meme in Twitter. God damn it.
And it hit the Twitter sphere, 2 days ago, 3 days ago? And they're banning thousands upon thousands. They see how they know how hectic that we haven't seen the last of that meme.
No, I'm perpetuating that. Nope.
I'm wondering if it was a strategic ploy to some degree with the midterms coming up.
Oh well, it has to be, because Jesus, the American midterms are horrific. What they are doing, the NPCs are doing, is so vile, so evil. Kanye West, what they did to him on CNN, they were basically, that was so bigoted, racist, blew my mind.
They were indirectly telling him to get back in the cotton field.
They were telling him directly to get back in the cotton field. The token Negro, the uneducated Negro, and so on.
Yeah,
Jesus.
But I've seen, I haven't checked into it at all, but I've seen people also saying on Twitter that even 4chan is blocking some of those NPC accounts. The meme
Yeah.
accounts who just that I've never been to 4chan, so I don't know how the
Yeah.
dynamics works.
I'll take your word for it as well. I've never been there as well.
But but from what I know about 4chan, what I've heard about 4chan, isn't it quite something new for them to be mass banning people? I thought that didn't happen on the chans. I thought anything
I
goes.
I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. I'm not into that. I'm like you. I'm not in. I understand the memes perfectly, but I'm not into that subculture. I can't. I can't.
I don't
I'm.
have time to do
I'm.
that.
You're young enough, but I'm just too fucking old.
Hey, I'm not young
Yes, you are. You
anymore.
young whippersnapper.
I'm 36 now.
Oh God, I wish I was 36. I used to play football at 36. God damn it. Or soccer. No, you're football.
No, no,
You're a brute.
but South Africa says soccer, yeah.
Well, we're not in South Africa anymore. We're trying to. Sorry about that. So we're in the British. We're in the. We're in. I'm not going to do my other accents. Not.
Yeah, no,
Not in. Yeah.
that's one thing I've changed in my speech. I'll call it football now because
Mm.
credit where credit is due. These guys did invent the game and they named it football. So
Yeah. Well, in Australia it was because football was Aussie rules.
yeah, makes perfect sense. A
That
game
is
that
that.
you play using your hands with the ball.
Yeah.
Let's
But no,
call it
but, well,
football.
yeah, Aussie rules is a mix. It's you use your feet a lot. So I played it, and I still have two wrists, and both wrists I sprained from blocking and kicking and tackling and all that shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's just rugby's Down syndrome brother.
well, yeah, sort of. No, well, no, that's American handshake.
No.
I
Rugby
will. Sorry, go on.
rugby union has many Down syndrome brothers.
Yes, it does.
American
Yeah,
football, Aussie rules. It's
Aussie
got an
rules
au-
actually more Gaelic football.
it's got an autistic brother also. Rugby league
Oh yeah,
union is the only way to go.
I think so. Yes. But I agree. Even though I didn't live in a state that played rugby with Aussie rules, New South Wales, Canberra, and Queensland were rugby. Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia, and then later on, Western Australia was Aussie rules. So yeah. And Northern Territory was both. You get some was because that's a territory there. Just, uh, just desert there.
In Darwin.
Yeah, Darwin, Alice Springs, and that place. Yeah, Darwin. That's the only city in Northern Territory. God damn it! It was the only one that was bombed by the Japanese. So, yeah, yeah, and but I respect rugby. Honestly, I do because they don't have armor like the American handshake.
Oh
I
yeah,
will
no,
not
that's
apologize to the American people for calling um, American football handshake because it is.
I'm sure I know the basic rules of it. I'm sure I'd enjoy it if I watched it. If you're submersed in it, if you in the US and people are watching it weekly, and yes, I could get carried away with it. But I always think of it as the lesser, more gay version of rugby.
It's too regimented. It's too. You have those stops. You have those calls. You have those rigid lineups, and that. Well, rugby is fluid. You have hardly any stops, and the best thing of all, you only use tooth braces and a bandana on your skull. Or the American
Or
version of it, you have bloody body armor.
oh yeah, it's and And it's far less skill just running into a guy than
Yeah,
tackling a guy.
exactly. The only part of the American football which is skilled is the quarterback, which he throws the ball.
Yeah.
That is the only thing. But in rugby, everyone has to be skilled because you need to time the shot after you do the scrum and everything. That is the general melee. But after the scrum, the fluidity of the game, the passes, the switchbacks and all that, it's just beautiful.
And I just want to apologize to any Americans out there. Nothing against your game, but I do compare it against rugby. And rugby's my religion.
I joked about before. I obviously apologize to my friends. I don't treat my friends badly, but it's still hand egg, and I will not apologize for that. Sorry, but Australian rules was hand egg as well. So there you go. To me, the only pure sport there is, and I will not regard any dissent, is cricket.
Yeah, no, you can. There's bastardized versions of it now.
No, I'm talking about Test cricket. Not even one days. It's not too bad, but 2020, fuck off.
One days is still bastardized cricket.
Yeah, it is, but it was exciting. I grew up. I met the West Indies. I met Clive Lloyd. I met Viv Richards and Courtney Walsh and they were my heroes more than the Australians. Well, Dennis Lilly and Chapman and Dennis Lilly, Alan Border, Kepler Wessels. He played for South Africa and he played for Australia. Kepler Wessels to me is one of my. I love that guy. I still love him.
But you realize modern Test cricket is still a bastardization of it.
Yes, it is, absolutely. That's why I hate it now. Yes.
Test matches used to go on until both teams had batted twice. If it took 10 days, it took 10 days.
No, it was 5 days. No. I grew up in the golden age of cricket, both Test and one days when there was still a real good thing, not like it is now, just fucking boring as fuck.
But credit where credit is due. 2020 is important to cricket for its popularity.
It's money making, yeah.
But it's brought fans in.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I can accept that because cricket is still a honourable game. There have been they catch cheaters, and they should punish them even more. But in general, they still have for example, hardly any of the anyone argues with the umpires. Rugby also has that. They don't argue with the umpires.
Exactly. Yeah. Football is disgusting how they treat the ref. It's disgusting.
That is why.
Those are NPCs of the sport world.
I completely agree, absolutely. And I've just gone off soccer football. I've gone off it. Here in Portugal, we are the most corrupt league on earth and in the universe. Honestly, we make the mafia look like choir boys. You have no idea the octopus. It's in the law, the cops, the magistrates, the government. When I see CNN attack Trump, I laugh because they are so amateurish. Because I see our media attack my still favorite team, Benfica.
Yes.
Yeah. And the sophistication of our attacks, or the Portuguese media attacks, and then also to Benfica, make the American or mainstream media attacks on politicians look like bloody children. They're just unsophisticated. You have no idea, man. That's why I can debate anyone. Even if I'm wrong, I can still come out possibly winning because I've learned from the cognitive dissonance, double plus good think that our commentators use. And
No,
Peter in Portuguese, you'd be amazed.
but football as a whole, look at the shit FIFA's gone through in the last decade.
It is, yeah, last decade. Avalanche started.
How the hell did we get onto football?
Oh, we just went there, man. We've covered mostly. We're just having a nice chat until about midnight would be fine. I gotta go to work. You possibly gotta go to work because no, you're on holidays. You can stay, but I can go a little bit.
I've got to call it in about 5 minutes because I'm making noise. I've had the boss
come into. Yes, I've been trying to not scream as well because I've also have my dad's just a wall away from me. So I have to. So yeah, so I think we can wrap it up here. Wrap it up on a high. We got to do this more often, man. Get some more people. So a few more exciting people and people from the chat. There are some exciting people, awesome people here in the chat, for example.
I couldn't interact with the chat because I'm on my phone, so I couldn't see the chat at all.
But never mind, you'll see it tomorrow.
Sorry, chat.
Yeah, there's John the Bemused, Warped Reflections. You know her. She's awesome.
I know both of them.
Yeah. I have a new one, Toxic Threads. Ooh. Nice one. Hello, man. Carlos David, is an awesome person. And a Portuguese contemporary. I think he lives in the UK. I hope you do, Paulo Costa, or else I'm totally uninformed about you, man. I follow him on Twitter. He's awesome. And but I'm just, God, I forget people. Honestly, I can memorize the scientific name for a lot of things. For example, the Iberian wolf is Canis lupus signatus, but I can't think of the name. Oh, it's Toxic Threads Alicia. Oh, I'll fix that. She's awesome. She's a very an awesome person, American, and she's talks sense. I like talking to her. Exactly. Paulo Costa lives in Lisbon.
Lisboa.
Yeah, Lisboa.
Lisboa, that's it.
I apologize, Paulo. Desculpa lá, pá. But I'm honestly, I don't do this for mean. I'm autistic. What can you do about it? Anyway.
No, you're Neanderthal.
Exactly. But no, the Neanderthal part of me is the good part. The sapiens, the one that gives me the autism.
So you're about 96% autistic.
96.5%, yeah.
And
man.
I'll give you something to listen to later tomorrow night because tomorrow midday-ish I'm having me and Conscious Caracal are talking about stuff in South Africa regarding Black Monday.
Awesome, man. He followed me today. Send my regards to him. Say you followed Carlos Castrejo, the Portuguese Australian autistic cunts from someone, you know.
I don't know what Castrejo is. I know Castrejo.
Castrejo, that's how you say it. I'm not Spanish. The J is J in Portuguese. It's not H.
You are Spanish. You're just a province of Spain.
I'm not. I am not even Portuguese, man. I am Celtic.
No, you're my favorite Aussie Kiwi Australian.
Thank you. Okay, chat. I'm going to say goodbye. Everyone, please. I don't need to introduce. I don't need to follow this man. He is awesome. I'm going to put these YouTube and Twitter links in the description. Please follow him. He is awesome.
Chat, he's a liar. Don't waste your time.
Okay, people. I'm going to end the stream. So good night, everyone.